Hey there everyone, Daniel Lowrie from Antisyphon Training back again with another video in our virtualization series, and today we're going to have a lot of fun. I am super stoked because we get to install Kali Linux. Is a distro that's near and dear to my young heart, even though I'm not that young as you can tell. But that is neither here nor there, because what we want to do today is we want to get the ISO that we're going to need to install Kali Linux. We got to set up the virtual machine itself and then get the install done. Now, of course, this does take a bit of time, so get ready to strap yourself in and be prepared to do a little bit of waiting for computers to compute, which is so much fun. But I'll do my best to pause and cut that part out of just the waiting. That said, let's get to it, shall we? Now, I've got VMware Workstation Pro already up and running, ready to rock and roll. Got my virtual machines sitting there doing their thing, having fun. But like I said, the first thing we need to do is get that ISO. If you need that ISO, you're going to have to go to www.kali.org/get-kali. Actually, let me do this for you. Make this a little easier. I will copy that, and I will get a note text editor out, and I will slap that in there for you so you can see that easily. There it is, right there. www.kali.org/get-kali/#Kali-platforms. Right there. Okay. So hopefully you've got that. Give you a second to get that punched in if you need to know where to, or you can just Google get Kali Linux, and it's going to probably be your first link there. So, well, I like to try to get you right to where you want to go. But there you go. Yeah, I don't need this. We can close without saving. Thank you. And that should land you here at this wonderful little page. It says choose your platform. And what we're going to choose is installer images. That's where we get the ISO. You might be saying, hey, Daniel, but there's one right here that says virtual machines. Why don't we do that? Patient, young Padawan, patience. Because there will be a video on where we actually do take that option, right? But not this one, not today. Today we want this installer images because we're going to install. So you click on this, it takes you to this whole installer images page. You got some documentation area, tells you the change log, and then I'm on the sum because I messed around with that a little bit earlier, and I guess it retains that setting because I did download this, right? And that is something you will want to make sure that you got the correct download. And I'll show you how to use that here in just a second. But I'll show you how to use it if you're running a Linux version already, because doing it with PowerShell, oh my goodness, is so crazy. I guess we can look that up, but you want to hit that download button right there. Looks like a little bing right around that area. You click that, and then the download begins. Of course, I'm going to stop this because I've already downloaded it, as you can see. I've also already moved it to my storage area where I keep my ISOs to make it easy for me, but you do you, and you put your Kali image wherever you like. That's the great thing about you being you and me being me. We can do certain things a little bit differently, and that's okay. A lot of fun. Okay, once you have that downloaded, we should be set to jet, and we are able to now jump over to actually, working with VMware and getting that going. So let's do that. You're going to jump over here to File, hit the drop down, hit New Virtual Machine, bada bing. We do want to go with typical. We do not need a custom. Hit Next. This is where we get to choose our ISO image. We're going to hit Browse and find your image. Wherever you grab that, it should be by default called Kali-Linux-2024.4-installer-AMD64.ISO. If you're running Apple Silicon, obviously you would need to go grab an ARM-based version of this. But if you're just running a regular Intel-based system, you should be good to go. And that's what you're looking for. At least as of the filming of this episode, that is the most recent and current version of Kali Linux. All right, I've selected it. I'm going to click Open. And it's telling me, I could not detect which operating system this is. That's fine. It's not a big deal. I'll just click Next. Now I can go and say, what is my guest operating system? Well, it is Linux. And you can stick with Ubuntu. That's totally fine. I think that works just great. Leave that there if that's what it defaults to. If not, choose Ubuntu, or you can even use other Linux if you know the kernel. It's just trying to do the best job it can at figuring out what settings you should use. Sticking with Ubuntu will work just fine. I'll click next. Then we can give it a name. Like I said, it's trying to figure stuff out. We told it was an Ubuntu variant, but that's not what it is. So now we can give it a name. We'll call this Kali-2024.4. I think that's a good way to go. And then you can tell it what location you want to save it in. If that default area that it chooses is not right for you, feel free to hit the browse button and change where that is going to live. That's totally good with me. I like that. That's good. Again, this is a demo. I can go with defaults. But if you're running this for keeps, then you do what you need to do. All right, it's time to hit next button again. Now it's time to choose the maximum disk size. And 20 gigs is not going to cut it. Got to be honest with you. I would totally change that. I'm just going to change this to, I'll change that to a 6. I think that's good for me. If you feel like you're going to need more, by all means, change it to more. If you feel like you could go with 40, that's cool, especially if it's just using it as like a demo. Then totally fine. Go ahead and do that. But I'm going to go with 60. I think 60 is a good amount. And then we are going to stick with this split virtual disks into multiple files. Hit next. And now we're almost ready. Now, another thing I do like to do is hit that customize hardware button. And I already have 4 gigs of memory selected. That should be fine. 4 gigs tends to be really good. We've got 2 processors, 1 core each. I do like to bump it up to 2 cores if you have it. If not, that's totally fine. I just like to do that myself. And then, of course, I like to go to that network adapter. And while this is where we can get, do I leave it connected? Do I not leave it connected? When you're doing Windows, it's really good to disconnect it, right? Because we saw that back in those Windows episodes when we installed Windows 11, that it keeps you from having to worry about updates and things of that nature. With Linux, yes, it can do updates. So you got to kind of weigh the pros and cons on, do you want to sit around and wait for that to happen? By not connecting the network at power on means that won't occur. You might lose some functionality though. I'm going to disconnect it. We'll see what happens. And I'm also going to change it from NAT to bridged, because I find that bridged typically works better for actually getting internet access, especially when it comes to things like installing. So that's my safety tips for you. So that's what I did. I changed that connected power on, and I changed from NAT to bridged right here. Okay. Everything else I should be good. I'm going to hit close, and then I'm going to hit finish. All right. Close one more time. It's installing the guest operating system. Yes. Thank you for this. You can always hit this don't show me this message or this page again right here. It's about telling you how to install the VM tools, because you are working with Linux and not Windows. So it might be a little bit different. And you might need this. It might be good for you, especially if it's your first rodeo. But I don't need this, so I'm going to click close. And now I'm ready to hit start. Shall we? I think we shall. Click start this guest operating system, and then click the warnings out of the way. No 3D support, no problem. And yeah, thank you so much. And you get this installer. Now you can up and down as you like, but the graphical install is probably the way you want to go. So let's just do that. Let's not get cute. Let's just straightforward, fun stuff, graphical install, and hit your enter key on your keyboard. Waiting. It's processing. Like I said, we're going to get a little bit of waiting for computers to compute. Sometimes I'll be able to skip over that, and sometimes I won't. That wasn't too bad. And now we're selecting our language. Again, like before, because of the resolution I'm using, I'm going to have to work with these scroll bars from time to time. So bear with me on that. But that's cool. You should be good to go, though. You shouldn't have. But if you have a lower resolution, you might need those as well. Just pointing that out. I am an English speaker, so I will go with English, but if you want or use another language, feel free to find that in the language list and use it. I'm going to hit continue. I do live in the United States. You pick your region as well. Click continue. What keyboard you use? Again, standard stuff, nothing crazy, right? This is a very simple, well thought out install. So we'll hit continue again. It's configuring the keyboards, trying to detect it, mounting installation media, listing or loading installer components from installation media. We love to watch a good bar scroll across the screen, don't we? Isn't it fun? There it is. Not too bad. Getting there. All right. What's next, Kali? What do you got for us? Want to keep moving. Detecting network hardware. All right. We probably didn't get anything because I disconnected it. Detecting link, you notice it's hey, please wait. Hey, we're waiting for this link local address. Now, just because I don't have the network connected, now I'm not remembering. Did I disconnect it or did I not? I got distracted. We'll remember here in a second. But either way, it's probably either getting an PIPA address that like 169 or 168.169, that kind of thing. A PIPA, the automatic private IP addressing thing that can happen. And it says your network is probably not using the DHCP protocol. Alternatively, DHCP server may be slow code, right? It's trying to configure. It says that auto configuration failed, and that's because I don't have the network turned on. So there's our verification. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to click continue. Now, it gives us the option to retry, or we can configure the network manual, or I can not configure the network at this time. And that's totally cool. I can do that. So I'm going to continue. It's going to ask me for a host name. You can change it if you like. I'm going to stick with Kali. Click continue. This is where we do need to create a new user. So I'm going to create, it says, what is the full name of the new user? I'll give my name. You do your name. Don't put my name in. You want to log in as me. You want to log in as you. Give your name or a fake name. Maybe you want it to be, I don't know, Eddie Vedder. And then we'll click continue. Now it's going to ask you for a username. I can go with Daniel. I can go with D. Lowrie. I can go with Daniel.Lowrie. Whatever you like as far as your username settings go. For fun, I'm going to make mine just D. Lowrie, right? Click continue. Here it says, hey, we need a password. This person has to be able to authenticate who they are. We need to choose a new password. All right, that's cool. I get you. I'll put a password in, no problem. And then if you need to see it, you can show it in the clear, but then you got to re-enter that. You use a good, strong password so that, God forbid, someone were to attempt to break into your system, they would have a hard time getting your password. And we'll click continue at this point. Almost at the station, we are configuring the clock. I am in Eastern time. A lot of people like UTC, but I don't see that. So let's just go with whatever I'm in. I will click continue, which I am in Eastern time. It's configuring the clock, detecting the disks. We are working. There we go. Loading additional components, partitioning. Now it's starting to actually do all the fun stuff that needs to be done to actually make this system workable and usable, right? Doing partitioning, and here's that partitioning. When it comes to Linux installation, unless you really know what you're doing, you want to stay away from manual. And especially for what we're doing, demonstration purposes, I'm just going to go with guided use entire disk. If you want to encrypt the disk, and a lot of people will say, LVM is a good way to go as well. Again, I'm doing a demo, and then you have set up an encrypted LVM system with the entire disk. So if you want to go full on security-wise, that would be the option you want to do, which will have extra steps, but I'm not doing that. We're just doing a demo. We just want a simple install. You can go back through this and play with this at your leisure. We just want to get you a working Kali Linux installation that is used for testing purposes, okay? If you want it to be your daily driver, that's a different story. You might want to come in and make some of those different changes, but let's get through the easiest install first, and then you can go back and go, okay, I kind of figure out what to do here. The steps you're going to run into is going to be simple. Hey, you need to create a password for the encryption and do the encryption stuff. It'll guide you through it. It's not a big hairy deal. All right, let's get back to it then. So I'm going to use entire disk with the guided and click continue. It's asking me which disk I want to use, and there's my drive that I chose. Excellent. It does say that, hey, all this is going to be erased. Are you cool with that? Yeah, I'm totally down with it. I love it. Makes me happy. Selecting for partitions. Basically, it's reading back to you. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Because this is what I've got, and if this ain't right, you need to go back right now and make those changes. But like I said, this was a pretty simple, straightforward install. This all does look right to me. Your separate home partition, separate home blah, blah, blah. Or just go with all partitions on one. It's saying, do you want me to change anything? That's where we're at. It's asking about partitioning. Do we want to separate the home partition? Do you want separate partitions for your home directory, for your home var and temp directory, for your home and SRV and swap? Do you want to do all this fancy stuff, which can be good, especially if you are going to daily drive this, but on a test, on a demo, you just want to go all files in one partition. It makes life easy. If you were really making this your actual Kali machine that you're going to use for a while, daily drive kind of thing, you might want to look at some of those other things because it can be a lifesaver when it comes to, hey, this doesn't work anymore. Maybe I can reinstall on the installation partition and all my home and everything like that stays normal. But again, we're going to go with all files in one partition. Hit the easy button, right? Continue is the easy button. Guided partitioning. This is the part where it tells you, hey, this is everything I've got. Are you sure this is what you want to do? If not, go back. And it is on finish partitioning and write changes to disk. And we will click the continue button. Then it's saying, are you sure you're sure? I'd hate for you to do something you don't want to do, which on one hand I do appreciate, but man, does it take a while to get through this. If you continue, the changes listed below will be written to disks. Otherwise, you will be able to make further changes manually. Okay, cool. This is it. And you'll notice it is defaulted to no. You need to go hit yes, I want to write the changes to disk and click continue. Now it's actually doing the partitioning, installing the base system, and we're off to the races. This is where we get into a waiting game where we are going to wait for the system to install. Right now, mine says installing core packages. I guess we'll give it a second or two. Just see, it seems to be rolling through fairly quickly. I'd hate to take a pause and then it was 4 seconds of a pause and it got installed. Like I said, this is probably going to go a whole lot faster because I don't have it connected to the internet, and therefore it can't do any updates. It can't look and reach out for all that stuff. So it's going to install the base system, and we'll see if it tries to do any installation of software after that. It's been a while since I've done it this way, so I don't remember off the top of my head, to be honest with you. We're going to give it a second. It's configuring the image. We're almost there. Yeah, we're cranking through this pretty good. I like this. Retrieving file. Okay, 2 of 3 or 3 of 3. I think we're on. Okay, now it's configuring apt. So I feel like, yeah. So now it's installing selected hardware. Again, not too crazy. It's going pretty well. I'm glad we did not pause because this is, hey, what software do you want to install? This is where you get to pick your desktop environment. Do you want XFCE, which is Kali's defaults, or do you want to go with GNOME or KDE Plasma? You can actually pick them all if you want. I'm going to stick with XFCE. Again, it's a more lightweight desktop manager. Doesn't take up as many resources, takes a lot less time to install, especially since, I'm good. You definitely want to get the collection of tools so that you have some tools to work with once the thing is installed, and then you can start installing other tools as necessary. So I'm going to, again, stick with the defaults for this demo. I highly recommend you do the same. Click continue. Now it's going to have to actually install that software, which is 2,592 software binaries, software packages that need to be installed. Just so we've got a little less than 30 seconds, 25 seconds. So this isn't too bad. We'll give it the time, I think. I think that's good. We'll let it sit here and cook for a second and kind of, let's go over what we're going to see after this. So once we get this installed, we're probably going to hit a reboot. And once we reboot, we'll be able to log in. And once we log in, we can do some post-installation items, which will be fun and good for us and give us the experience that we're looking for, right? Maybe do an update, connect it back to the internet, that kind of stuff. That's what you're going to want to do. But right now, we're just kind of waiting. It does look like it's going to take a second. So I think it is good for us. We'll take a quick pause. We'll hit the pause button. We'll come back. We'll see how far we've gotten and what we need to look at. So hang in there. We'll be back in just a second. Okay, we're back. It's just now completed. I was hoping you would get to see that. I like to show you those transitions from one screen to the next, and I just caught it. And there it is, right? We're done. The software is installed and ready to go. It is now installing the Grub bootloader, which is good. It's going to help us boot our machine. We like that. Excellent stuff. Now it says install the Grub bootloader. What do we do here? Well, it says this is a new installation. Warning, do we want, and don't worry about all this stuff really. Feel free to read it, but ultimately at the end of the day, for just the default installation, you go with the default, which is yes, which is install the Grub bootloader on your primary drive. That's exactly what I want to do. It is already selected. I will click continue. Then it says, hey, you need to make the newly installed system bootable by installing Grub. I can either enter the device manually or I can click on Dev SDA, which is exactly where I want it because it is the only disk in this system. Makes it a whole lot easier to tell it where to go. And then, of course, I click continue. Gets that Grub bootloader installed, which will help us do that. And we are finishing the installation. We are almost at the station. We're having a good time. I can't wait to fire this thing up for the first time. And yeah, I love getting my hands on a fresh Kali Linux. It's got that new car smell. Who doesn't love that, right? Running some update, intra FMS stuff, doing some cleanup in the background. Don't you love just waiting for these things to do this? And I love, my favorite is when the bar is going by, right? Like, okay, we're doing things, and then just hangs. It's doing something. And you're like, well, are we progressing? Am I going? And then jump. I hate, man, it's always a pain. Right now it is, looks like it's done. Another fun little pet peeve of mine is when it's halfway done and then we're done. Can you get the scroll bar to work? Is that too much to ask? We could put a man on the moon, but we can't make a scroll bar actually show you where you are in an installation. Hey, what are you going to do, right? Installation is complete. Congratulations, everyone. It does say press continue to reboot, or please choose continue to reboot, which is right around this area, which is going to be good for us. We click, it is finishing, and we go back to the scroll bar. Man, some UX UI development needs to be done over at Kali, but look at us. We are living the dream, kiddos. We're getting our first installation. Is coming up. Be here very, very soon, where it'll ask us to log in. We can give that username and password, which we set. I see the Kali dragon. This is all good signs. Hopefully you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing, at least something similar. And now here we are. We can finally log in. I think I set my name to D. Lowrie and then put my password in, which I did not do correctly because I don't do it correctly all the time. And hopefully it's going, it's thinking, hey, we made it. And we've got ourselves a Kali install. Isn't this fun? Don't you just enjoy doing this? And now we can run Kali. We can do all the fun things that we need to do. And of course, I don't have this connected to the internet. So one of the things I would probably want to do right out of the gate is go over here to VM and find settings. Run over to network, click on that. And then I want to click this connected and then click save. It says failed to connect virtual Ethernet 0. Okay, well, that's an interesting thing. Sometimes they like to be powered off for things to actually work, but I will definitely make sure to click that connect at power on. And then I can unconnect this. That's what I'm just going to do right now. And I'm going to click save. And that should be good. And then from a reboot, we should get connected and have a good time. And so it looks like it's hung up for some strange reason. I'm going to try to close this, cancel that. You know, computers are fun, kids. And these things happen, right? This is just life when it comes to trying to do stuff with virtualization. It's not perfect. I'm actually kind of glad this did this. These things will occur, and you got to try to figure out what to do to get around it. Now, one of the easy things I could do is probably just shut down VMware. I do have another VMware virtual machine running. That's okay. I'm just going to kill VMware, and hopefully that solves our problem. We go back in, and we can make those connections. But it is good to point out that virtualization is not a perfect science. It's pretty good. It does a really good job, but every now and then there's some weird little things that can happen. So let's see if we can fix this, shall we? First thing I'm going to do is open a terminal. Let's open a terminal. And we will make this where we can read it. I'm going to run PSAUX pipe. I'm going to grep for VMware. Lots of stuff with VMware in it. I'm looking for that Kali Linux 24.4. There's 24.3. That's my other virtual machine that I have running. There's 24.4 right there. All right, cool. So that means that's probably this. Yeah, there we go. So right here, what I'm going to need is this, which is the process ID. I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to say kill. And then you can do Shift-Control-V to paste into your terminal and hit Enter. Let's go back to VMware. Internal error. Okay, things are happening. Looks good. Okay, excellent. It did shut it down, which is exactly what we want. Could not connect. Okay, well now let's see if we can connect to it. We go back to VM, click Settings, click Network Adapter, and click Connect at Power On, and click Save. Now we'll see if we get some networking. Fingers crossed, that's exactly what happens. Let's start this guest operating system, hit OK. Could not connect. That's my fault. Okay, I know what's going on here. I totally forgot about this, and that's completely my issue. You will not have this problem because I have an extensive virtual thing going on. I forgot I have a custom VM network. If you want to make VM networks, they're going to be, we'll talk about this in another episode probably, but you have this, where is it? It's under Edits and Virtual Network Editor right here. I have edited a lot of my networks, and I forgot that I have set this to the wrong thing. So let's change that. For me, I need to go to Settings. Hopefully this doesn't kill us. Go to Networking. And even though I'm connected, for me, not for you, I'm going to click Custom because I have custom networks. Click my drop down and go to VMnet 2. VMnet 2 is my actual network. That is on me, kids. My bad. I am so sorry. That is probably confusing. For you, you just want bridged or NATs, right? That's where you're going to want to go, bridged or NAT. But for me, I want that custom, and then I'll click Save. Hey, look at that. Things tend to work. I can now reboot the machine. Click Restart. And yeah, notice we're not having any problems now. That's a lot of fun. But you got to see some cool troubleshooting that goes along with some, because you very well may run into some issues when working with your virtual machines. Some of them might be self-inflicted wounds, kind of like what you just saw with me right there. But it's nothing you can't work around if you know a little bit about operating systems. You should be fine. And you can see now I'm ready to log back in. Let's get that done. Helps if I actually focus there. And then we put in the password. I don't know if I typed that correctly. It looks like I did. There we go. I'm logged back in. Now it's still not showing me. You know why? Because this is fun, right? These are real. This is real life. You might actually do these kind of things. So I'm clicking VM. I'm going to Settings. And even though I chose the current, I did put that in there. Can I click Connected? Is that cool? It should have connected at Power On, but it didn't show it as connected. So I'm going to click Save. And there it goes. You can see that that is now a spinning Cheerio of love. And I now have an internet connection. Hey, you know, no one said this was going to be easy. We just said we could show you how to do it. And that's what it's all about. Hopefully, though, like a lot of what you're seeing here is some real life things. I didn't do them purposefully, obviously, but as you start to get down the rabbit hole of working with virtual machines, it's really good to be familiar with the system that you're using, not just the virtualization software, the hypervisor, but also the operating systems in which you're trying to install. Now, I get it. You got to start somewhere. You might not be perfect, and that's totally cool. So you might have to do some Googling to figure a few things out. But I'm actually think it was a good thing that we saw that, hey, you know what? Not everything went perfect, and we can work our way around these things. Just had to know a few tricks, a few areas, and of course, remember some of the settings that you actually set. It's probably a good idea. So there we go. All right, let's jump back in here. Last thing I want to do, of course, is install VMware tools. Now, we do have internet access at this point, so I should be able to open the Firefox browser and get to the internet. So if I want to go to google.com, I should be able to access that. You should be able to as well, which is nice. And one of the things you want to do is install VMware Tools Kali. And there's a great write-up for this right here, installing VMware Tools, guest tools. It's fairly simple. What you're going to want to do is follow the bouncing balls, telling you about the history of installing the guest tools. And what they suggest is that you install the Open VM tools. It says, should you decide to create your own VM installation of Kali Linux, which is exactly what we just did, then we're going to want to do this, right? So the first thing we need to do is sudo apt update. You can just copy that right out of here, go to another desktop, a virtual desktop, and open up your terminal. And I'm just doing Shift Control Plus to make that big like that to increase the font size. And then I will Shift Control V to paste that in. Sudo apt update. It's going to ask you for your password. Type that in. And this is all good post-installation stuff. Like, we didn't do any updates. So one of the things we need to do is grab those updates that need to be installed for the system. It's fetching them right now. Looks like there's 71.3 megs that it is fetched. Hopefully, there you go. It's rocking and rolling. And as of right now, and this is a fresh install, there are 1,471 packages that need to be upgraded. Okay. But right now we want to get those virtual tools installed. So let's do that. And of course, I'll show you the command to update the system so that you can do that, which is a good idea after a fresh install. Let's see here. We'll go grab the next item on the list, which is sudo apt install -y. And we're going to reinstall VMware Tools-Desktop or OpenVM Tools-Desktop and Fuse. Just copy that. Go back over to here, and we'll right click and paste that in, or, oh, so there it is, paste selection. Or you can just do the Shift Control V. And now you click enter. It won't ask you for your password again because it kind of caches that for a few minutes. As long as you're continually using sudo, it won't keep begging you for a password, which is nice. It's a nice little feature. And now that should be installed. I'm pretty sure that the only thing we would have to do after this is a restart. Let's go check that out. Yeah, reboot. The next thing to do would be to reboot the system, and then you would have those guest tools installed. Before we do that, if you wanted to do a full update of the system, you would just do sudo apt upgrade -y, like that. And that will fire off the upgrade of your system. It shouldn't prompt you for whether or not you want to upgrade the system. That's why we did the -y. And you're off to the races. Once that's done, you reboot the system, and you have a fully functional, working, ready to fly test environment to play around with Kali Linux. And you get the benefit of having Linux stuff to learn Linux stuff on, because it's a full Linux distro. You can install services. You can do anything you like with it. It is Linux. But it also has all those cool security tools that you probably want to play around with as well. And you don't have to do the hard lifting of figuring out what those tools are, getting them installed. What do they do? A lot of them are already there. You're set to jet. You're ready to fly. That, kids, it was a long video, but we had some troubleshooting to do. We had some installation to do. We had some post-installation to do. And now we have a working thing. So that's good. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. Hopefully it lit a fire under you to do more virtualization, have some fun, install more virtual machines, different operating systems, and play around with them. And that you got some value out of it. That's my wish at the end of the day. If you did, well, make sure to click that like, subscribe button that's down there. Go ahead and punch it. Give it a good fist and say, yeah, want to subscribe, want to like this, share it with your friends, let them know, hey, if you're working on virtualization, this is a great series that could help you out. At least that's my hope. Anyway, don't forget to follow Antisyphon and all our socials. We're on LinkedIn, We're on Discord. Come and hang out with us. Check us out. We do a lot of free training. We do a lot of free stuff. We also have some AMAs on Tuesdays. We have Anticast, which is a webcast about different cybersecurity topics. A lot of fun. So we hope you would come and hang out with us. We'd love to see you there and get your questions, interact with you in any way we possibly can. Thank you so much for watching this episode. There is more to come in the virtualization series. Believe it or not, this is not the end. We've got a few other things to check out, so definitely come back and hang out with me on that. But until then, have a great day.